Okay, so here's the thing. You're gonna get to see this camper like 2 times in one video today because it took me so long to get this video put out there. I've had such a backlog. In the meantime, another copy of this came in with like the completely opposite interior. So you're going to get to see not just how one of these looks like, you'll effectively get an idea for almost any combination of interior options, sofa, dinette, flooring, cabinetry. You get to see it all in one today. This is great.
Hello and welcome to Haylett RV, everybody. My name's Josh the RV Nerd, and this comes in 5,585 pounds as we see it here today. And for the sake of argument, 26 feet. Technically 25 feet 11 inches from the tip of the tongue to the back of the bumper. 2506S Rockwood. Now I want to point out something real quick for you today. This is not built to our normal stocking standards. This is actually a custom order for one of our customers here. And they said, I want to check out that new darker autumn interior wood tone, which I think is really cool that we get to show you that. We tend to do a lot of the lighter Newport ash here at Haylett RV. So, you know, this will be a really good exercise to show you not just what our Rockwoods are most of the time at Haylett RV, but the fact that if you don't like what we have, or if we're sold out, we can get you anything in their catalog. So as we go through, I'm going to show you what this person chose, what we might do a little bit different or the same, or some other options that you may have among Rockwood's catalog, so that you always know what options are out there. And if you appreciate knowing things like that, or the extra under the skin details, like the fact that you have a standard solar inverter package on this one, like the fact that you have standard double Azdel. The walls, the front, the rear, the sidewalls, they're all double Azdel layered. And if you're not familiar with what that is, we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go. And if you appreciate that kind of information, make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow along, because we've always got good details coming for you, whether it's going to be your first one or your last one. So we're going to talk about all the different seating configurations and whatnot you can get in this one. But I want to begin here, no matter which seat you get, dinette, 2 different sofas, this is the view you're going to get right here. This is you in the driver's seat. That TV, thankfully, on the angled wall can pivot for some nice, easy viewing. So it's not really too much of a neck crank or anything like that. Down below, we've got our stereo, kind of Bluetooth system. The little cargo pocket down there, I think could make a cool little spot to maybe make a phone charging station? I don't know. Electric space heat and Tootsie toaster down there. Today we're looking at the standard 12-volt DC compressor fridge. There is also an option for a gas electric 2-way. And one thing I want to point out to you here is that Rockwood doesn't just make the full window in their entry doors shade ready. They actually take the time and effort to put the shade in it. Now, a lot of manufacturers, that's an easy aftermarket add-on, but now you don't have to deal with it. And isn't that nicer, you know? Now, Rockwood has really become like the king of front kitchen campers. This is their smallest of all of them. Well, no, technically, the 15TB Geo Pro is technically a front kitchen camper. That would be the smallest. And then comes this one, the 2506S Mini Lite. This is the smallest of their tandem axles. Remember, though, that this one has a sister called the 2516S, which adds a True Queen bed slide in the back. It changes things around a little bit, not severely, but you get a full bed slide, and we've got footage of that RV. I'll try to remember to leave you a link in the video description. If I forget, just remind me. But it's really cool that Rockwood gives you so many different options, so many different ways of going about things. Now, what we're looking at here is the U-dinette. There are several different seating arrangements, and I want to kind of walk you through a couple different options and ideas here. First, I want to take a second to point out the fact that Rockwood is now standardized, new for 22, the blackout night roller shades. Last year these were available, but they were optional, and you had a pleated shade standard. Now, I don't want to smoke screen you. The windshield that I'm standing right next to, that still has a pleated shade. Because it's on a radius, a roller shade would kind of hang vertically, and they don't have it boxed in. So they do still have that on a drawstring style pull-down pleated shade to make sure that it hugs the front curvature of the RV, as it were. The other thing here, I want to point out the different options that you have. So, like, these people obviously opted to go with the U-dinette here in this floor plan. One of the cool parts about it is obviously that it has storage below it. We're going to see that in just a second. But this folds into a large adult-sized sleeper. So, like,
if you know you're really cool and you let old Uncle Josh hang out with you for the weekend, I got a place that I can crash, and it's not, I don't have to curl up on this because it's like almost 7 foot long. Now, I do want to mention, if you are worried about guest sleeping capacity, there is a hide-a-bed sofa option that you could put over here. But we're probably going to do a lot of the theater seats on the builds here at Haylett RV based largely due to your feedback. Now, that will mean really not guest comfy compliant. You're not going to have old Uncle Josh over, but you're going to have a more comfortable seating space during the daytime. So, which one works for you?
One of the other really cool parts about the U-dinette in here is its flexibility. Since that table's free-floating, you can use it outside for a picnic table. You could totally get it out of the way, and you could use this basically just like a lounge. So is it going to be comfortable? Anybody who says a dinette is as comfortable as a sofa, stop watching their videos. They're obviously, that's nonsense. But is it? It's not terrible, and if you're spending more of your time outside and just a little bit of time in here, like if it happens to be a rainy day, then maybe that works for you. And if not, remember, there's theater seat options, there's a hide-a-bed option, there's different wood tones, there's different fabrics. Like, this is the darkest, but also, I think, the warmest a Rockwood interior can get. So it really depends on which thing works for you. Great countertop space in here, though, even when the sink and the stove are in play. This is also, even for a small RV, they still use a larger 22-inch oven. And something I want to point out here, this little switch over here, that is actually the switch for the inverter, which is now standard. This has a factory standard 12-volt DC compressor fridge that we're about to see as I turn you over here. It also has a 1,000-watt inverter and a 190-watt factory standard roof solar package on these. Now, if you go with the two-way fridge and you want to keep the solar package, you're going to need to add that as an additional option, basically. So kind of keep that in mind. The solar package and the inverter are kind of bundled together with the 12-volt fridge, as it were. So back to what I was saying about this here table. Remember, you can just totally get it out of here. So again, if you do want to make that an open lounge, and I'm not saying it's equivalent to a sofa, but if you're looking for guest capacity, you want a place where everybody can sit down, maybe you like to do a puzzle or something like that. I don't know what you do. Maybe that works. It's just an option. Now, you might have noticed there are no floor vents in this. There is still a little bit of carpet in the slide and in front of it. Rockwood, if you've been following our channel, you know that they are actively engineering the carpet out of their slides, but that is not as easy as just removing the carpet. There's a reason that's there. It makes the slide work differently. But they are going through their lineup, and it's not a quick process, but that is one of those things that is in process of happening.
And in the words of Monty Python, and now for something completely different.
Okay, so first and foremost, a very obvious complete color shift here from the darker wood tone to the lighter Newport ash, which also lightens up the flooring here that we're looking at. And it's wild to me how completely transformative just a little bit of a color palette swap really is. Now, also over here, there is the standard refrigerator in this is an 8 cubic foot gas electric right here, which is going to be potentially a little more boondocking friendly. You can still pair that up, as we have done with this trailer in this mini video segment, with their solar and inverter package, to really make this little guy fairly robust off-grid camper, because there's no real major draw on the battery as it is with the two-way fridge versus the gas electric. And then when we get over here, this is something else. We have, first of all, a different fabric tone. We have swapped over from chocolate to stone, which is a lighter color palette, kind of like we saw on the woodwork. And you might notice how there's actually some gaps beside it over here. If a slide out is sized for a U-dinette, or if a space is sized for a U-dinette, then that's one of the biggest fixtures that could go there. So you can squeeze about anything in that. The thing is, that leaves us with a couple really cool kind of opportunities. So first of all, you have the choice here between the theater seat we're looking at as well as a hide-a-bed. Take a look at the left side of the screen. You get some quick samples of those opened up for you, and you may also notice when you get the hide-a-bed or the theater seat, it also includes a free-floating, what I like to call dinofa table. So even though it is just a sofa, even though there's no dinette, you still have a place to eat here. But here's another thought, guys.
Absolutely nothing says you have to leave that sofa dead center in that slide. If you wanted to shove it to one side or the other, I think you could have room for like a little pet bed down here, or as it sits, if you don't like the Dinofa table thing, you could always just get a couple little TV trays that you slide out or something like that. Maybe you add a little bookshelf or a side stand or something like that over here. What would you do with that open space? If anything, nothing says you have to.
Now, moving back here through the hallway space, which is nice because you have a very private bedroom back there. If your RV does have the solar package, this is where the charge controller is located. It's also really cool that Rockwood has just a dedicated hallway light switch here. Now, what's on the front of this is my personal little battery box, and when I hooked it up, I was at 11.6 volts. I'm up to 12.4 now. I'm not running the refrigerator. I want to point that out. I want to be very clear. But if you're just running lights, fans, things like that, you have some extremely good extended camp capability with one of these, which is what I'm going to call that solar package. Whether you get the 190 standard or you get the extra 300 or the extra panel for 380 watts total, it's an extended camp package. I meant to have that open, apologies, but just to let you see all the storage. I love that they actually give you space for linens and toiletries and stuff like that dedicated here in the bathroom. Also, all Rockwood travel trays and fifth wheels in the bathroom have that XL vent fan with roof vent cover on it right from the factory, which is great. You saw that I had some good legroom there. I've got good headroom in the shower thanks to the mini vaulted ceiling that this one has. I don't even necessarily have to put my head in the skylight. Now, I mentioned the cabinet over here. We've got space to put toiletry type stuff, but they do also give us a shower caddy because these things over here ain't even good for shower bears. I lost me 2 Coors Lights before I figured that out. And if you are going to do some boondocking, you don't heat stroke. You don't have to waste an ounce of fresh water because you got the shower miser there, which while your water for your shower is getting up to temp when it's getting warm, you're not wasting it in the gray tank. And the way that you know is that will actually turn from dark blue to white, but it's actually hot enough in here right now. It's sort of in a translucent halfway transition phase there. And where we began in the living room with your point of view from the seat, this will be your point of view from the bed. And straight across from you, how cool is that? We just have this nice viewing window, which of course still has the nice night roller shade. It's a little, Rockwood's really tried to figure out what to do with this corner over the last couple of years, and I think that's the best looking. If you want that big flat piece right there, you could put a TV mount. You see that you do have some plugs there. But notice you have not one, but double the flavor, double the fun, double, double, double mint gum. You've got 2 of these nice viewing and breeze through windows over here. And as we back up a little bit, I want to point out that you also have another ceiling vent back here for more light and airflow. And what's interesting, this is actually some very classic design right here, where it looks like a north-south bed, but it's parked east-west. Arrangements like this, Fleetwood, I believe, was one of the first to do it, way before my time in the RV industry. That's just what I've been advised from the old dogs of the business. This concept right here is the reason the Camp Queen bed exists, because they were able to keep the RV 26 feet long and still give us some kind of queen bed. It is true queen capable. You're going to do the Brooks and Dunn butt scoot boogie around that thing right there. And I'm not necessarily going to call this a full walk-around bed. It's not bad over here. You see you got that side stand, that dresser drawer and whatnot. I will tell you, though, as we get over here, it becomes a little more bulky. There's a thing in the way. And you might be going, why is that there? When we go outside, you'll see why. It's actually storage accessible from the exterior. It just gets a little bulky and blocky inside. What am I missing? What am I missing, guys? Ooh, under the bed storage. Here we go. Easy lift. And 2 tier, like you got a storage trunk on top. You got a couple drawers below. And that is, historically, this model, when it had floor heating vents, used to have 3 drawers. Sometimes those heat vents do mean you lose a little storage, but I don't think you've really lost anything significant. Like 1 drawer or 1 less drawer, I don't believe is going to be the deal maker, deal breaker. But what's your take on that? And with the slide out closed, this one is almost like the opposite of most, like say trailers or fifth wheels, really. You lose the nap and crap access to the bathroom and the bedroom, but you maintain some pretty good access, well, easy access to things like the fridge and most of the kitchen. And by the way, to get you the good shots like this is what I gotta do. I actually stuff myself down here under the cabinets, in case you're ever curious. Hang it out. And that's where I was just a second ago. I was stuffed all up in that corner just to give you a little idea. The drawer access when the slides are closed, slide is closed, is a little limited. And you might be wondering, if you haven't ever seen it, what is that right there? Well, that was the factory tire pressure monitoring system and 5-inch touchscreen monitor right there, which is a very cool thing. Rockwood has been doing their Goodyear tires and TPMS standard for several seasons now, I think 2 or 3 years. It's cool. Jayco does Goodyears. Cougar offers Goodyear plus TPMS optionally. Rockwood just does them standard, and that's what I mean. That's why I keep calling them like the hold my beer of campers. Anything anyone else does, they always do plus one more. Like on a triple step and a 26-foot ultralight, who else is giving you zero gravity stable steps like that? And I got a little RV pro tip from personal hard-earned experience here on this Rockwood. That entry door, if the awning is open and the door is folded all the way open, they can overlap just a little bit. What that means is that if the door is all the way open and you close the awning, you could theoretically crunch something. I've done it one time ever, and my goal here, I like to throw in these extra little tips so that you don't ever repeat your Uncle Josh's mistakes, because if we're being honest here, isn't that what a good uncle does? They teach you what not to do, but uncles are like method actors. They do the dumb thing so that you can see it, laugh at it, record it, put it on YouTube, and then teach your kids not to do that. Power awning here with lighting. TV hookups dead in the middle. That's the square that we're zooming in on right here, right now. Down below, you got your... that's actually one of the cool things about this. I call it like a double kitchen floor plan. You've got an inside and outside kitchen. And it occurs to me, I failed to bring out and set up the extra little galvanized shelf table thing that goes next to that griddle. But this is Rockwood 101 again right here. There's a lot of Rockwood 101 on these. You've got an outside griddle, but you also have a little 2-burner stove, so you can cook your main course and your side dishes at the same time. And hey, you got the little mini fridge over there so that you don't have to go trekking in and out. I call that Dad's medicine cabinet. That is the ideal place to keep the bottled water and the barley pop, as it were. Now that outside kitchen's crafty. It's hidden under the headboard of the bed, which is why this one has an outside kitchen and the 2516 with a bed slide does not. There's just nowhere to put it on that one. But what they did here is there's a middle, off to Neverland, no man's land of storage in the middle of that bed. But Rockwood, man, they just don't waste nothing, which I'm aware isn't a double negative. But they have this little pull-out storage trough, chest, whatever you want to call it. And if you want, you can totally take this thing in and out. So if there's heavies, like this is a really good place to put your hitching bars, by the way. You see the standard factory receiver on the back. That's one of the things that actually added some weight to Rockwood a couple years ago. Those require some extra bulky structure to be able to support the 300-pound accessory weight for which they're rated. Now, as we roll back here, I want to point out that this one was built with a couple options. We've got the power stabilizer jacks back here, which is a fantastic option. It just makes everything push button simple. I usually just stick with the hex nut drill bit adapter so that I can pretend I'm in Ricky Bobby's pit crew working on the Laughing Clown malted liquor race car. And you might notice over here, between the Goodyear tires, there's absolutely nothing, honey. This is not a leaf spring suspension. It's a 4-wheel independent torsion axle and suspension system. And long story short, that gives this thing one of the best rides and superior handling as compared to most anything else out there. Now, the slide awning package is something that we would do almost every single time here at Haylett RV. I don't know, Rockwood does them so cheap. You can add those. I can't even cover just the labor cost of adding those aftermarket here at Haylett RV for what Rockwood charges to have them done from the factory. And now they're factory warranted. It's a no-brainer. If you want them, get them from Rockwood from the factory. It's just the best way to go. And this is another Rockwood 101 right here. This is old school Forest River stuff, where they used to put the storage on the outside of the slide available right here. Not every brand does that anymore. Rockwood's one of the few. Even that's still a magnet, holdback. You know, the one thing a lot of people have said, like last year, a lot of people said, you know, I'd like those roller shades, and Rockwood said, make it so, number one. And then a lot of people now are saying, man, I wish they had slam latches on the baggage doors. You know, I agree with that. I think that would be very cool, actually. Now, did you notice, though, inside of there, it was an all-aluminum skeleton. When I went on the Rockwood factory tour, one of the details, like I always knew they did that, I didn't know why, though. Anything that is load-bearing, whether it's the structure, because this is an all-aluminum skeleton. Remember, you got the double Azdel in the walls. What else was I going to say there? Oh, the bed deck, the dinette, anything that's load-bearing, that will be a welded aluminum cage. Now, I mentioned the phrase Azdel earlier. If you're not familiar with that, let's talk about that real quick. So just a quick overview of Azdel. It is a wood panel substitute. It is not the fiberglass. I keep, all of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of people asking, is it Azdel sided? And they're asking on a stick and tin trailer, like, people have heard that Azdel's good and that maybe you should look into it, but they don't know what Azdel is. So when you have a laminated trailer like this, it has a block foam insulation inside of the aluminum skeleton, and it has Luan wood panels on the inside and outsides of that. Like, that's the interior wall board, is usually Luan. In a Mini Lite, in a GeoPro, and in a RU, in those three things, Rockwood does double Azdel layers instead of the wood panel normal Luan stuff. So why? Major thing is that it is lighter weight. Beyond that, also, it is, the material itself is like rot, mold, mildew proof. It's plastic, basically. It's like 90% or 80% recycled pop bottles. All the Mountain Dew bottles that I've been drinking over the years are probably a couple of them in these Azdel walls. I don't know. I'm breaking that habit right now, so, you know, Azdel, you're going to have to find a different source. I can't be your only sole supplier of plastic pop bottles anymore. But it acts as a moisture barrier. It keeps the sound down a little bit. It's a little bit better insulator versus wood. Not enough to make this a Magic Four Seasons RV. Although I didn't mention this, these do standard have enclosed underbellies with 12-volt tank heaters, which is pretty sweet. So Azdel is an amazing product. It's a very good thing. I don't know that it's the be-all, end-all, because you still have the same seals on the roof and all that. You still have to perform the same maintenance on the RV. If there's a slip, though, it can reduce the amount of fix-it work that you might have to do. The key here, though, is that an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. So big congratulations to the new owners of this one. Beautiful, beautiful coach. I tell you, I'll leave you a link to the video description in the video description where I actually took a tour of Rockwood's Mini Lite production plant, and I've felt good about Rockwood for a number of years. I've never felt better about them than when I went through there and I really got to see what they're doing today and the updates they've done, because I've been through that factory before. They continue to improve, not just adding lip gloss to the product, but the nuts and the bolts and the screws and the skeleton of this thing continues to improve. Like the heavier floor construction that they've gone to, it added a little bit of weight to the RV. But it also means if you want a good house, you start with a good foundation, and that's what these guys have done here. So hope you appreciate the little look at things here. As we go through the year, it's very possible I'll have a second video of one of these built a little more toward normal Haylett stocking specs. But I've yet to see a Rockwood I don't like. I don't think there's a wrong way to build them. My question for you is, what decor, what furniture, what solar package, what fridge, how would you build it? I'd love to know. And short of that, let me know how I can improve. Whether you're serious or curious, I leave you a link in the video description to always check for pricing and availability. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone.